just in a daily life as a diabetic, I myself keep my diabetes under control. But when you're going on vacation, you're going to visit family, you're gonna, the holidays are coming up soon. How can we stay in control when there's all this food around? There's all these desserts around. Right. Do you have any tips that would help us as diabetics to be able to keep in control?
Sure.
And not let ourselves get our blood sugar out of control?
Right. That's a great question. Cindy, I think the key to success as a diabetic is you have to get to a point where you say, I am not like everyone else, and I'm okay with it. We're gonna have to adjust our priorities and our plans, and that's gonna be part of our new normal. So a lot of diabetics come to my office, and I can sense that there's a bit of a denial, It's like, I know I'm a diabetic, but I want to behave like I'm not a diabetic. That won't work. Mm-hmm. When you're diabetic, you have to educate yourself of what needs to happen, and expectations need to shift. Just like, when we are over 30 or over 40, we cannot go for a jog like when we were 15. We adjust our expectation. We just cannot do it because our knees hurt, There's gotta be a similar shift when you're diabetic. When you're diabetic, if you control yourself, yes, you're gonna be normal, like we just said. Mm-hmm. However, you are not like everyone else anymore. You cannot be a 15 or 20-year-old, or whenever you were a non-diabetic and you would go to a sweet shop and eat the cakes and all of that. That part is gone. And I know it's sad, but we have to get to a point to say that part of our life is gone. Now this is a new chapter, and we're okay with it. Mm-hmm. We have to accept it, mm-hmm. right? So that's step number one. So now that we've accepted it and says, okay, well, what do I need to do? I'm fine. I'm not like, I'm not gonna go binge and get a big tub of Ben and Jerry and eat it. I'm okay with that. But what's the next? The second thing I would say, and I know these are more of conceptual concepts, is you've got to have a plan. I'm so glad you asked that question, because we don't want to find ourselves in these situations mm-hmm. and then try to figure out what we're gonna do. Right. So as long as you've already pre-planned what you're gonna do in different situations. What am I gonna do if I'm out with my husband or my wife, and let's say the waiter brings a tray? How am I gonna think through that? Mm-hmm. What am I gonna do? During the holidays, and everyone is different. Mm-hmm. You asked a great question, but somebody may have a different. Like for example, as a doctor, we get a lot of free lunches sometimes. Right. So we've got to have a plan. We can make some suggestions to your audience today for that, but in general, I'd say put down what are the things that are going to be challenging you, and figure out a plan before you get there.
I'm glad you said that, because I think one of the keys for me, and hopefully it'll help somebody, is I'm not a big sweet eater, but I do like ice cream. So I know at Thanksgiving, there's a spread of pies out on the table. One of the pies I love is banana cream pie. Nice. It's one of my favorites.
Right.
And so what I've chosen to do instead is I bring my own dessert.
Great.
So if I bring my own dessert, I ask whoever's home I'm going to for whatever the occasion is, whether it be Thanksgiving or Christmas or just somebody's having a party I'm going to, I ask if I can bring a dessert. Great. That way, if I bring my own dessert, great. I don't feel like I'm being left out or cheated because I don't get any.
Great.
I still get dessert. And it's still healthy, and it's still going to fit within my carb intake for that meal.
That's great.
So I'm glad you brought that up, because I think everybody has to have their plan.
That's right.
And their own little idea of how they get through. Know what your weaknesses are.
Right.
And find a plan that's going to take care of those weaknesses.
Right on. You did it just right. I mean, it's either going to be take my own food, mm-hmm. or it's going to be really eating less sugar.
Right.
You know, so for example, you would have to, if you like the banana cream pie, you know, you're gonna have to figure out. I'm allotted, for example, 50 grams of carbs, and how much is 50 grams of carbs? I mean,
Right.
it's one way or the other.
Right.
If you really want to do it just right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I do.
Right.
And still try to stay within my calorie intake. So I kind of, especially if I'm going to family, I will get a menu, so to speak, of what they're having for going to be serving for that meal, and then I'm able to work my meal before I even get there. Work out my meal before I even get there, so I know what I can and can't have. And I do the same for a restaurant.
Right.
If I'm going out to eat, I'll go online. I'll see what their menu is and what their nutritional value is,
Right.
and that way I already know what I'm going to eat
Right.
prior to getting to that restaurant.
Right.
Saves the depression
Right.
and being upset because, oh, what am I going to eat?
Right.
I already know
Right.
before I get there. And don't have them put bread on my table.
Right.
Because I love bread.
Right.
So-
Great advice, and if I may add, even also if you're trying to lose weight, planning what you're gonna eat is great. So planning is great. For example, if you're trying to lose, say, 10 pounds, and you know your weakness is you go to the restaurant and you're gonna overeat. If you plan and say, look, I'm gonna have a chicken salad for the next week or whatnot, then you already have. You're not gonna struggle, like you
Right.
said, be tempted, and be depressed, and be mopey about it.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Sure.
I can't stress it enough because it is what helps me.
Right.
And having those healthy foods in my home. For example, yesterday my husband and I were out and I wanted Mexican food so bad.
Right.
And I let's go have it. And then before we got there, I kept thinking about all the healthy food I had in my house.
Right.
So no, let's just go home.
Oh, wow, that's
and
great.
went home and had a healthy sandwich for lunch instead.
Wonderful.
So it's just, like you said, you have to change your normal.
Right.
And my normal is to eat healthy.
That's right.
So-
That's right. You know, if you value your life and if you want to live a long life and a healthy life, we've got to make those changes.
Right.
And I urge people to really, I mean, life is a gift.
It is.
God gave us this gift to do something worthwhile with it. With it. And I like seeing people healthy. But it's easy to preach. For me personally, I have my own struggles. I try to keep my weight down, but my weight keep wanting to go up. So it's easy to preach. We're all in this together.
Right.
Being a human is a struggle, right? In different ways.
Right.
But we want people to value their life. Family members value us. They want us to be healthy.
Right.
It's not even fair to them,
Right.
right? So I'm definitely on board with you there. Let's
Right.
make a plan and execute it.
Right. And know what your body does with certain carbs. Because I know for me, I can eat a little more potato than I can eat white bread.
Right.
And they both have carbs, but one spikes my sugar worse than the other does.
Absolutely.
So, and I think everybody's body's different like that. So
Right.
knowing your body and what spikes your blood sugar
Sure.
is really helpful.
Right.
And being able to keep your blood sugar under control.
Right on.